by, ending it all. And that is not the best solution, actually. Like you said the last time, you said
Mm.
it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. But
Yeah.
sometimes these problems don't seem temporary, do they?
Mm.
It
No,
seems like
no.
it seems like there's no end to it. You look at it and you think, whoa, when am I ever gonna get out of this? When am I gonna you
Yeah.
know, get some rest, get some, and and that's what drives men to that point in life where, they think, well, you know what? At least I won't be trouble to anybody, and I won't bring shame to anybody, and I won't bring shame to myself. But I
Mm.
think it's time that men have these open conversations with ourselves and say to ourselves, listen, you're as good as anybody else. Nobody's better than you. It's only time and unforeseen occurrences that would overtake you. And they're temporary. They are temporary, aren't they? Sooner or later, I mean, we use one phrase in this country, we say it can only get better. And it's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
It gets so bad up to a certain extent. The only way possible is for it to get better. But for you to get to that stage, and I think that's the most difficult time in a man's life. So there are disadvantages to how men are being treated. There's a lot of name blaming. When things happen, it's always the man. There could
Mm.
be a murder somewhere. It could be committed by a woman, but the first thing that comes to anybody's mind, even the man, is a man must have done that. But it's not always, it's not always a man, is it?
Not
you know,
always, but I suppose it is most of the time, to be
it
fair,
is.
so that you can see why society thinks it's a man.
Yeah,
As you say, it may
yeah,
not be, but
I know.
but
Yeah,
I suppose generally it is.
yeah. So it's a sad state of affairs, isn't it, for men? And it's not going to get better because the men that are being brought into the world now, um, they're even softer than the men. And no disrespect to the youths. What I'm saying is, the men that I see today, today, the boys that I see, they I don't know because they have all these things, these luxuries, and all these things that would distract them, and they're more prone to being bombarded with a certain sort of information, and
Mm.
that is dangerous on its own. The information that they've been exposed to, and it's confusing. And so you see these men today, and there's no way out for them. You see them and you feel sorry for them because it's what they've been fed with. It's what they've been fed
Yeah.
with. It's the social media, what they're getting from the social media. I mean, men like us, we can look at something on the social media and go, that's not true. But it's harder for somebody
Mm.
younger.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
would have been harder for us if we was born in this generation. But it's because we have a lot of experience, life experience behind us. We're able to cope with it. So it's
Yeah.
just yeah, I'm not gonna say it's hopeless because it isn't, but it's gonna get worse for men.
Yeah.
Um, this system, yeah, it's gonna get worse for men. Um, uh, I don't know the way
Okay.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's a good description of all of that. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's a good description of all of that you put there.
Yeah.
I think that is a disadvantage for men. I mean, it comes back to, I think, a phrase I heard when I was a young boy was, and I probably well meant by my parents, but big boys don't cry, and that kind of sets the scene, doesn't it, for the future that, oh,
Yes.
we're not allowed to express those emotions, which I guess is why men as a species or part of the species are
Yeah.
considered to be unable to express themselves emotionally as a
Yeah.
generalization. So yeah, I think it starts in childhood with all those formative years.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully they're not too much different the young lads of today, and hopefully things are better than we might think. Other disadvantages, though, that again in this survey men came up with, one was going bald, right? So, which again, yeah, women. I mean, I think there are some women who, what's it, alopecia, isn't it, where they lose their hair, but um, it is more a male problem, um, going bald, isn't it? And we then look at the childbirth pain, and there are men, I can tell you, who say being kicked accidentally, say in a football match or whatever, in the testicles, is one of the most agonising pains known to man.
It
And I
is.
don't know whether you've ever experienced that.
I
When I
have.
used to play football, yeah, you have as well. And
Yeah.
it is actually to me, the pain was indescribable. It's the only way I can say it. It was agony in the true sense. Thankfully, it doesn't kind of go on perhaps for as long as a childbirth can go on. And I'm not equating the two pains. I guess women would still say the pain of childbirth is the toughest. Um, that said, and we may look in a minute at the women's side of things, women generally are known physically to respond better to pain because their brains react to pain in a different way, apparently.
Yeah.
So they cope, not to say they don't feel the pain, but they cope with it. They're much better at coping with pain than men are. And I suppose that even feeds the idea that we have things like man flu. Men make much more of a fuss, and there's some truth in that, I think. But yeah, so that's a disadvantage if ever you're playing in a game. I mean, some games, of course, like cricket, baseball, you wear a box to prevent the worst aspects of being kicked or hit there. But in football, kind of surprises me a bit, but it's never the case. And quite frequently during the season, watching football on TV, you'll see a man go down, and the commentator will say something to the effect, "He's been hit in that wrong place," sort of thing. And it takes, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes for that pain to disappear. So yeah, that's perhaps a disadvantage of being a man. Others said man boobs. I don't know what you think about man boobs. I don't see that. I don't think I've got any myself, but I can see if people develop those, they can they can feel it's a disadvantage for obvious reasons. So not something I really ever think about. Another one is a lot of men say we're expected to fix things.
Yeah.
When something goes wrong, there's an expectation of us, and maybe it is that whole expectation thing as a man, because you go back to the early days of humans. We were the hunter, and the females were the hunted, and somehow because we were physically stronger, we were responsible for making the big decisions, for getting things right, for putting things right. As you said, if you break down and you're under the bonnet of your car on the road, no one's likely to stop to help you. But if you're a woman, the other way around. And I think that sort of image reflects something about a disadvantage of being a man, that we're all always expected to sort of know the answers, whereas of course in reality we don't know any more than the women know. So um, that's another thing. And as we've already said, we're not really expected to show too many emotions. So really, they're the main negatives that were put forward about being a man. Can you think of anything else you think is a disadvantage?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah. I can think of a lot. Men are expected to work harder than women. So men are not men. You can't have an off day as a man. You've got to be on top of things. Yeah, you're the You're the guy that provides the solutions, like you said, you've got
Yeah.
to know what to do. And to me, I think that's a disadvantage in a way, It's just like we're humans, we're all imperfect, um, so it's kind of expecting us to do more. So men are expected to
Okay.
do
So
more
to
than
do
women.
more, a
Yeah.
question on to come right back to basics. Okay, we
Right.
haven't touched on the women yet, which we're going to do now.
Yeah.
But if are we near in time? Are we?
Yeah. Yeah. This is
Oh
it.
wow.
Yeah, I
Um,
know.
well,
It's going
okay.
really
Well, then we're going to have to we'll have to pick up the women's side of things next time. But
right.
just one final question, if there's time. Um, if you had the opportunity to go back and be born again, knowing what you know now
Yeah.
about life, would you rather be born a man or a woman, a boy or a
I'd rather
girl?
be I'd rather be born a man.
Well, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Okay, well,
Right.
we'll pick
So
up the women's next week. Yeah, we'll
right.
pick up
Okay.
the
So
women
this is all
next week.
we've got time for. Join us again next week. I've been Emmy Hikins, and he calls me Cos.
And I'm Trevor Gear, and he calls me bruv.
It's a goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
Right. So just